Hi, it's Tyrone from tyroneshum.com and welcome to the dedicated channel where I help you with outsourcing and automation. Today I want to share with you something what we call the 80-20 principle, and it's the Pareto's law as well too. So if you have heard of the 80-20 or Pareto's law, they're the same thing. The reason why I want to discuss with you about the 80-20 principle is I want to talk about how it applies to outsourcing. I had a question from one of my recent workshops and it was really interesting because I think a lot of people were struggling on what to outsource. They couldn't determine how to be able to take themselves out of their business and outsource their work to the right people. And it's very easy to say, look, I'm just going to hire someone and just let them take over everything. Because as an entrepreneur, you do literally everything from handling customer support emails to all the way to, I don't know, uploading things up onto the internet for videos and so forth. You are kind of the hands-on person who does everything. And that's very normal and very common for solo entrepreneurs. I'm very much aware of it because I've been there and I've been doing that as well too in the past. Now, taking a step out of that to actually release what you're currently doing and to give the person that you're outsourcing to do the work correctly requires a bit of thinking. And it's not as simple as just giving them all the work and say, look, you do that. You need to firstly give them an understanding how it works and also understanding of what needs to be done and then set up the systems and the automation process that are involved. Now this is where the 80-20 principle comes into play. And when you look at how it works, it's actually a very simple concept. Let me explain to you what the 80-20 principle is if you don't know what it is. The 80-20 principle is where 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. Let me give you an example. Say, for example, you put in 20% of your time into producing 80% of the results for... Okay, let's look at an example. For example, I know that 20% of the people in the world make about 80% of the wealth. That's a very common thing or common phrase that goes around. Apparently, with the new age and everything that changes, it's moved from about 10% of the people in the world make about 90% of the world, or wealth, I should say. And it's a very generalistic term. Don't blame me if I'm telling you the facts. I'm just hearing these from books I've read and also articles I've read and so forth. But basically, that is a terminology. Now, if you're going to apply this to outsourcing, where say 20% of the things that you do in your business will generate 80% of the results. And what I mean by that is, say, for example, you spend 20% of your time on making money. You're doing dollar productive activities. Those dollar productive activities should provide 80% of your income. If you're making $100,000 a year, for example, and 20% of that time that you spend in your business, you're doing the dollar productive activities, then that's basically 80% results. That's basically a very simple principle and simple understanding and concept. Hopefully I've explained it. I know I've been saying that again. But what I want to say now is looking at outsourcing. What you want to do is look at what are the 20% activities in your business which are dollar productive for you that you're doing right now that is generating 80% of the results. Think about that for a moment. What are those? Once you figure out what those things are, then the 80% of those things you can either eliminate, that's the first thing, or automate, which is setting up the systems, or outsource. And this is what I'm talking about, those 80% of the things that you don't need to do. Examples are email. You might not need to check email every day. You could get someone else to do that for you, depending on what type of business you are. Cut it down, eliminate it, set up filters, set up systems so that it automatically answers them for you even. That's 80% that is administration tasks that doesn't need to be done. Uploading videos. You don't physically need to sit there and upload videos onto the internet or uploading content, posting blogs, etc. You could have a VA log into your computer and do that for you while you're away. Those things will not make you money, but in the essence of actually producing content for the net, you need to do those things if you're a blogger or someone who is promoting online. So those things are essential, but you don't need to do them themselves. The things that you may think that are dollar productive for you are talking to clients, writing out newsletters to potential prospects on your newsletter list, subscribers for example, those are dollar productive. Looking for new leads, for example, and generating more income through sales. So those things are dollar productive, things that will generate income for your business You can focus on that, or you can set up a system to be able to have that all automated for you. And that's crucial. If you get to a certain point where basically you don't even need to worry about those things and you look at everything from strategic and looking at it from the overview point of view things, then that's where the place you want to be at, is putting all the strategic concepts in place, so that way your team, your outsourced staff, can actually do all the work for you, and all you have to do is sit back and collect the income, but also strategically drive the business forward on where you want to go. Hopefully that has explained to you where this 80-20 principle can apply in outsourcing. And I think it's a very, very powerful concept if you can grasp it with your hands and just put it down and just take it and use it in your business. Because once you've got that, you'll see a lot of changes in your business, and you'll get out there and just create and generate a lot more. And that's what I've done in my business, is I've just focused on that principle, and I continuously generate great income from my business, and also generate a lot of great contacts and build up a lot of friendships as well too, who eventually become clients of the business. Okay, so I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you do have any questions and you have any feedback that you want to share with me, any ideas, thoughts on what I've discussed about on 80-20 principle in relation to outsourcing, please feel free to leave them down just right below here, and I'll do my best to also see what I can do to help you in regards to that too. So thank you so much for watching this. My name's Tyrone from tyroneshum.com, and I'll see you inside the next video. Bye for now.